Tkinter is a package, okay, which is used to create your like text box, buttons, screen. Okay, so this is your Tkinter, right? And this is for dialog box when you have to open like yes, no, okay, cancel. So that comes from file dialog. Okay, so this is the library that you need to import for Tkinter. Okay, so this is important. And then when you go to the main program, we create a window for TK. TK is a, okay, see, so when you look at your dashboards, for example, okay, when UI, any application, it's a window that comes on top of your window. So that is called as TK. That's like Canva. So if you have to paint something, let's say if I ask you to draw a house or tree on paper, so you take a white paper, isn't it? TK is like a white paper. Okay, so TK is like that white paper on which you can draw text box, you can draw buttons, you can draw various other things. So TK, now what happens if you just do this? It will come and go away, right? So for that, you need to say window dot main loop. So this is your window equal to TK. So window is the object, okay, which, so let me, I have program everywhere, okay. Let me put this here for now. So we'll go step by step. So if you take this program that we bought, first you take the Tkinter. You add the Tkinter. Now this Tkinter, okay, you have to create this root window. Root window is like Canva, on which you will stick all the other components. Now when I run it, it will come and disappear. So you're saying paper will come and go away. So you want paper to come like infinite times. It keep on coming, right? So when you see a box or dialog box, it's actually appearing multiple, infinite number of times. So if you, like for example, if I run this, okay, so something will come and go. You'll see something is coming and going. It's so fast that you won't be able to see sometimes. So what we need to do is we need to call main loop. A main loop will make it run infinite number of times. So now when you run it, okay, you see the window has come here, right? This is the window. So, when you close it, it goes away. So the main loop will make it run like infinite time. So, it's there. Next, what it is doing is it's actually giving a size. Okay. So I'm saying geometric size 500 into 500. So this is the size of the window that will come. So now when you run it, you can see this is 500 by 500 pixels. So this is, now on top of this, you can paste whatever you want to paste. So let's see what this guy has done. So import done. Okay, this is anyway function. Okay, now this is the title. So, you can say here, okay, instead of saying file explorer, selecting the file. So this will appear on the top, basically. This is just title. Okay, so when you run it, you see whatever you give here will come appear here. Okay, now next, background. Okay, so this is the background. Right now, by default, background is gray. You want to make it white, red, pink, whatever, you can do that here. So I go and I copy after this, right? So when you run it now, your background is going to be white. Now see, it became white. So if you want, you can change it to whatever color. By default, it is gray. So background is set. Now on to create a file, so label. So label is just it's a label where you can write some text. Okay, label को कुछ नहीं करता है, just a place where you can write a text, right? So now so label is part of Tkinter. I go here and I put a label here. So label has window. So label has to be stuck to something, isn't it? So window is your white background. So I'm saying the label should be stuck on top of window. So that's why label gets attached to your window, the Canva that we have been seeing. This is the text that you want to display on the label. So I'm saying file explorer. That's it. I don't want to say. So it'll come as file explorer the label. And this is the width of the label. Okay, and this is the height of the label. You can change the height and width. Position, we have not given, but you can give it position also. FG is foreground. So foreground will be, background is black. And this is the foreground of the label here. Oops. Okay, so this is just the object created. We have to now link it, right? So I go here. Okay, so here, where should you stick it? So I'm saying column 1, row 1. So this is always with respect to the values that we have. So this is to object is created, but object is not stuck. When you say, so it creates a grid on the back end on the window, and it says column 1, row 1. So it will be added at the topmost and extreme left. So now when you see, the label got added here. So this has divided into grid, and this is your 100 by 4. Okay, so File Explorer got added here. Okay, so this is your label here. Now on this label, let's say you want to add, so this guy is adding button, right? And button will have text, browse files. So what happens when you give a command? When you click the button, what will happen? So you call this function. Now see, this is called as command, not as a function. So though it is a function here, okay, browse files is a function, but while calling, you don't give the bracket open and close. So this is, okay, I'm going to, so file dialog. So I have to open file dialog, and file dialog will have different types of dialog. One of the type of dialog is ask open file name. So it will open ask file name. Okay, so this is one of the dialog box. So here, since you are trying to open the file, okay, so we will be using this one. So okay, this dialog box is here in this, and we'll copy this function. This function is called, okay, this function, this is all part of the same thing, right? Yeah. This is same single function, def browse files, right? So it will open the dialog box, and also it changes the text from file explorer to file open. The label value will change. Okay. So see, label file explorer is that label name, right? I'm saying that configure it so that text becomes file open. Right now, the text is file explorer. Now it will change to file opened. So this function I'll go and I'll paste it here. Outside main program. Okay. And now I'm going to call that in the button. So we have not created the button. We will go ahead and create the button here. So this is the button object we will create. So I go here and button explore. So this also says that we are linked to window, and text on this is browse files. And now I have to attach it, right? I'll give a position. So I'm saying column 1, button explore, right? Column 1, row 2. Column 1, same position. Row 2 will be below the first one because this is row 1. So row starts from top to bottom in Tkinter, and column goes from left to right. Left to right, top to bottom. So this is in a way you're saying that this should be line number 2. So I'm attaching in line number 2 here. So now when you run it, okay, so you see this. So this is your label, and this is the browse dialog box. When I click here, okay, this will open. And once I read the file, let's say I read D1, I'll say all files. No, it is my app, correct? Sorry. So you have read. Now you see it says file open and the file name. So it has opened this file name here, right? So this is simple UI stuff where you are adding a label, you're adding a browse file.
So I've given a ID and ABCD columns, and if you see the ID values in the B1 sheet is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but in the B2, 4 is missing, and 6, 7 is an extra.
ठीक है.
If I want to compare apple to apple between these two, maybe 56 minus 56, जैसे first contract की बात कर रहा हूँ, और वो उसका डिफरेंस मतलब 0 आ गया, डिफरेंस फोल्डर diff a 0, उसके बगल में डिफरेंस परसेंटेज दैट विल आल्सो बी 0. सो एक टाइप का आउटपुट फाइल फ्रॉम कंपेयरिंग बोथ दीज टू. ऐसे सिनेरियोज इसलिए लिए हैं बिकॉज हम लोग के काम में कभी कभार ऐसा होता है कि
करते हैं whatever doesn't matter. Let's
yeah,
do this. Okay.
sure.
So we'll create a list. Okay. We'll call this as difference list or something. Okay. And we will create one temp list. Temp list equal to this. Okay. Now these are your two files, file 1 and file 2. And let's file object 1 is
B2 करना होगा ऊपर. I've kept B1 in both.
sorry, B2. And this is your file object 2, file name 2, right? And I'm going to say CSV content 1, file object 1, and CS content 2, file object 2. Okay, and file object 1 dot close, file object 2 dot close at the end. Okay. Now what we will do is we will read for row 1 in CSV content 1, and then we will read for row 2 in CSV control. So see, once you read it, it's all your list logic. Okay, this
Yeah.
has nothing to do with this is how you read. That's all, right? So now you wrote ये हो गया. Now what I'll do is, because ID is first, right? So if I'll put it here.
ID is a common parameter in both the files.
Right. So row ID is first column. So here we are not reading. Okay. So you want to compare the values, right?
Yeah.
Now, so this is going to read the entire content of your CSV file.
Yes.
So the first row is going to be text. So we don't want to do that. We will convert this into, we'll convert row of, so this is row ID of 0 is what we are going to read, right?
Yeah.
Row of 0 will be your first list of first value, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
List of first value. So what I need to do is first I have to compare row 1 of 0 if row 1 of 0 dot is numeric, right? Because it could be text also. So if row 1 of 0 is numeric and row 2 of 0 is numeric, then you get in. Okay, otherwise you don't get in. You get in
if those 1 0 is upper.
Oh, upper हो गया, sorry. Right. Wrongly selected. Okay. So this is numeric, and so add true and true. Only then, first we have to convert row 1 of 0. In fact, we don't have to check row 1 of 0 is numeric or not. We need to check row 2, 3, 4, in fact, right? A, B, C, D. So if I go and check this Excel, if I go and check this Excel, I don't have to compare this. I have to compare this one, right? So what I will do is I'll just simply check if row 1 of 0 is equal to row 2 of 0. If they are equal, then I will get in. Okay. And this is where I'm going to create temp list. Okay. Temp list here, it is not required. I'm going to create temp list here. If they are equal, temp list. And now I'm going to say if row 1 of 1 dot is numeric. Okay, and I can actually put this in another loop here, in fact, because same thing I have to do for 4 rows, right? So I can say for k, for I in range 1 colon, you have to check for 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 colon 5 I will give. I'm saying if, okay, if, and this will be outside the loop, okay? We don't want to reset it to this. So I'm saying if row 1 of 1 is numeric and not 1, directly I can give here. If row 1 of I is numeric and row 2 of now you see, now one more thing is this will run multiple time. Okay.
4 loops हो गए.
नहीं 4 तो हो गया, वो fine है, but okay, we'll just fix this and then we'll go back and check. Here this is not efficient. So you want to run this one time and this another one time, or one time. Otherwise ये क्या होगा, एक बार चलेगा, फिर this will run multiple times. So let's see, no worries anyway. So for I in range 1 to 5, row of I is numeric and row of is numeric, then, okay, you say temp list dot append, okay, int of row 1 of I minus int of row 2 of I. Okay, and when you are done this one loop, then I have to append this in the master loop. So diff list here dot append your temp list, and here I'm going to print this final list. Okay, and then we can write it to a file later, that will be easy. Let's see this if calculation is right. I'm going to run it and see what happens. Any error? Yeah. Temp list is not defined. Temp list, okay. So temp list we are putting inside this, right? Yeah. No, this will work. It's saying 0. Why it is saying 0? We expect. So obviously it is not going inside 56. 56. Row 2 is row 1 is 0 equal to 2. This is correct because otherwise temp list will not be. Okay, let me see. Okay, if we are getting it here or not. Print. I am here. Okay, so it's not getting here. Row 2, row 1 of 0 equal to row 2 of 0 is not getting right. So first time row R1 ho jayega first row of content 1, which is this, understood, and this is going to be, okay, so this is also fine. Let me print here. Print row 1 and row 2 equal to row 1 comma row 2. So this is your row 1. तो ये समझ में Row 1 is always ID ABC and this is different values. No.
नहीं, रो 2 में गड़बड़ हो रहा है रीड करने में.
No. See, CSV content 1 is file of, oh, see here I gave,
हाँ, सेम नेम दे दिया है.
इसीलिए. Okay. So now it says row 1 is ID ABCD. Still it's not, here it is 156. So row 1 and row 2. So no, why this row 1 is not going to the next one? Hmm. So this is correct. Row 1.
Caps की वजह से तो नहीं हो रहा है क्या? Capital and small की वजह से?
No. See, we have values in row 1 and 2. So row 1, I expect it to be ID ABCD sahi hai. But row 2 initially should also be IABCD. So
नहीं, रो 2 तो 156 ही रहेगा ना सौरभ?
नहीं, row 2 is file 2, right? Now your file 2 also has ID, correct? ID ABCD.
अच्छा.
So why is it not reading this? It's reading the next file. So that's why I think CSV content 1, CSV content 1 and CSV content 2, file object 2, file fname 2, fname 1. So I'm expecting it to run multiple times. Okay. Now what I'll do is, okay, once this is done, then again I will read file object 2. Once inner loop is done, then we will, oops, sorry. Then we again read that inner loop. Inner loop is done, then inner loop is done. Okay, best would be, instead of reading and doing it, okay. Instead of reading and doing all this, what I'll do is, I will say, so what happens, see, row 2 finish ho gaya, right? So it is not forcing it to go one more time. Row 2 is done, finished. So it's not going back. समझ रहे हो ना आप? See, if I print this outside, you will see row 1. But row 2 is not read again. So I have to read row 2 again. So to read row 2 again, okay, I will, once your for loop is done, then I will read again. But if I read again, it becomes see, it's reading one time, then it's reading 5 times, and then there's nothing else to read, so it stops. So instead, what I'll do, I will say CVS content ho gaya na, I'll say list content. Okay, so let me say list content, but I'm just trying to fix this one only. For row equal to CSV1. Okay, let me try to do this. Okay, then we'll come back here. So I'm saying list content 1 equal to this, and I'm saying for row 1 in CSV content 1 list content 1 dot append row 1. Okay, and then I'm going to say here list content 2 equal to row 2 in content 2 equal to row 2. So now, and this is content 2. So now if I print here, print list content 2, print list content 1. So both list will be printed here. So this is your first list and this is second list. Now instead of iterating through this one, I'm going to say for R1 in list content 1, Okay, and for R1 in list content 1 के बदले पे, so when I take R1 it will be this. So I will use range len of list content 1. So it's going to run that many number of times. And then I'm going to say R2 list content 2. So this R1, R2 is going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? And I'll just comment this part. And now instead of saying R1 of 0, because R2 is the R2. So now if I say R2 here, or maybe I'll use row 1, row 2, so that we don't have to modify this. Row 1 and row 2. Let's run this now and see what happens. Int object now, it becomes int here, right? Because we have said R1, see, when I say R1 of 0, it should be this. Line number 27. Okay, so line number 27. So if row 1 of 0, if this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Correct. So len will give us 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, correct? So if I give directly value, let's see. But my point here is if I don't give 0, it will have same problem like first time. Okay, I think it worked. First wala blank hai because ID hai. Now see this second and third, 56, 24 and 526 minus 2454. Correct? That's how you got minus here. 526 minus 2454. 1928. Aage answer. Okay, so it was not iterating again. So that's why we put that in a list before and you do it now. And yeah. यहाँ पे ID है ना, so ID minus will not work. ID नहीं होगा. So that's why you got blank here. So the numbers, it gave you subtraction. Last row दोनों का common है. That's why I got 0, 0. Let's see. Okay. Now it compared. So last row is 5 and 5. 65, 256, 50. 56 to 56, yeah. So it's comparing if 1 equal to 1, only it is performing subtraction. Otherwise, it is not. Right? And if you want, you can add ID also. So if you want to add ID, it should be added in temp list. Where should we add? We should add when row equal to here. So here I will say temp list dot append, and you add the ID. ID will be row 1 of 0 or row 2 of 0, doesn't matter. So now when you run it, so this is ID 1, 2, 3, and 5. Right? And when you're done, you can remove all these testing lines. Right, Apurv? This is what you wanted, right?
Yeah, yeah. So final list में it has given out the differences, right, of both the files, and we can export this out as a CSV also. Whatever data
ये
we have
list है ना, list को you write as CSV later.
और इसमें वो वाले सिनेरियोज में कैसे होगा, जैसे कि 1 इज मिसिंग 1 इज नॉट, उस केस में
एक
ये
सेकेंड,
क्या आउटपुट देगा? जैसे ID 4 में आई गेस।
हाँ सॉरी अपूर्व, टेल मी।
So I'm saying this is for the common record, it has given up this list.
यस,
तो for ID 4 जहाँ पे एक बुक में है एक में नहीं है,
no
उस
no,
केस,
see, this is the logic you have to do, right? So if they are equal, then perform this, right? If they're not equal, then you can add your logic here, whatever logic you want to do,
okay, and we
right?
can export this out also
Yes.
as a
So,
CSV.
yes, yes. So see, you are anyway getting this
Mhm.
as a list, right? Now we don't want this one, right? So what I will do, uh, row है ना? So instead of appending here, okay, instead of appending here, okay, I will append it inside. Row is numeric, okay, and um, इसको कैसे करेंगे? If I append it here, let's see. ये ID हो गया, right? Now what you can do is you can check if row 1 of, or you can check there itself, okay? You can check there is row 1 of 0 not equal to ID, right? Only then you perform this. No, I think that's the better way to it here. यहाँ पे प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है. Okay, so ये तो ठीक है. You're getting ID here also, but this one, so temp, okay. So what I'll do here, you remove this, okay, and here itself will say row equal to 0 and row 1 or row 2, okay, of 0 not equal to ID. Because if it is ID, we don't have to do all these things. Oh yeah, that extra ID is gone now. So this is a list. This you can save it to your writer. So using CSV writer, you can save it. So how do you use CSV writer? I can say here, okay, this is your final list. Now, writing to a CSV file. We'll close this. Okay. Now, writing to a CSV file, we will use file object equal to open. File name, I'm going to call this as, okay, let's put it in D drive itself, right? So I'll call this as B3. B3.csv, and this should be done in write mode, correct? Now I'm saying write mode, and it will add a blank line. If you remember, it would add a blank line. So I'm going to say new line equal to nothing. New line equal to nothing. So it's not going to add blank line. Now I'm going to say let's say CSV writer equal to CSV dot writer, and then you have to give the file name, right, where you want to add. So file object, this is where I want to add, and then you can give delimiter. So delimiter equal to comma, okay, and that's it. Let's see. Then close file object dot close. So now when you run it, and we'll go to our app, you see B3 is created. Let's see the content has been added or not. Content has not been added. Why it has not been added? Okay. CSV.writer, and then you give the file object. So I'm saying open d app b3.csv. Okay, new line is done. And okay, write row. So this is object, okay? We have to write a row. So first we will say CSV writer dot write row. Write row, you can put the header, okay, as a list. So you have manual, we can put, right? So you say here like ID A B C D, and then you say CSV writer dot write rows. Write rows, and you pass the content. Content is diff list. Okay. Let's go and check here. D my app B3. ID is not added. Why ID is not added? Oh, quote char. I did not give quote char here. So here, quote char. Okay, you have to say quotation because the ID has a quotation, right? That's why it did not get added. Ah, no, here the ID is missing. We had the ID, right? Oh, what happened to the ID?
सर अभी कोड कैर क्या करते हैं?
अगर text add करना हो तो.
Okay.
So to indicate that quotation is not part of your this thing, quote is part of the text. But we had ID here, right? What happened to that ID? Oh, not equal to में add नहीं कर रहे हैं, right? Okay, and then here we add, right? Temp list dot append. Okay, and any one of these you can say row 1 of 0 or row 2 of 0. This is your ID. So this will add ID. Did we close Excel? Yes. तो फिर edit नहीं हो पाएगा ना. ID is added. Now you go to B3. You open B3, and your B3 will have ID here. See, this is what you wanted, right? So it has saved in a file. Right? Done? Okay, so while we are here, let's complete that exception handling. Okay, let's complete exception handling so that tomorrow we'll have only database to do. Okay, so I'm going back to our
session by 6 o'clock in Zoom meeting.
So I'm going to.
सर एक चीज पूछनी थी।
हाँ,
जैसे हम लोगों ने भी ये CSV कंपैरिजन किया, ठीक है?
जैसे
और जैसे अभी ये दो CSV फाइल्स का कंपैरिजन किया,
हाँ
कभी कभार हमारा आउटपुट क्या रहता है, DB में ही रहता है, और हम लोग डिफरेंट SQL में क्वेरीज
कल
लगा
करेंगे,
के
डीबी से कैसे रीड करेंगे कल करेंगे।
ठीक है, वहां पे भी यही सेम एग्जांपल हम लोग ले सकते हैं,
बिल्कुल
बस
बिल्कुल।
क्वेरी से हम लोग फाइल रीड करेंगे और यहाँ से CSV कंपेयर करेंगे, तो इट विल बी DB आउटपुट
When
वर्सेस
you read it right, whether you read from, when you read it through CSV or database, it will be in this format. List of list. Okay. So then it's all about doing this. So maybe what happens here, we created list 1 and list 2, right? Maybe the list 1 content will come from CSV and list 2 will come from your database. But this will not change, correct? See, the way you get list 1, so this is how you get list 1. But the way you get list 2 will come from database, not from here.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so exception handling. Now, what is exception handling? Exception handling is error handling. So if you talk about errors as such, you have 3 types of errors. Okay, you have syntax error, syntax errors, you have logical errors, and then you have runtime errors. Syntax errors are when you get the logic, sorry, not logic, when you get the syntax wrong. Syntax is your rules, right? When you get rules itself wrong. So for example, for print, you need to have bracket, right? When I say print hello, right? Now, this is how you write print hello, right? But you miss quotation, right? So you're not following the rule. It's like grammatical mistake, right? So it will tell you, see, there is syntax error, it can find. So this is the easiest of all the errors to find, because the program will not run if you have syntax error. If I tell you a sentence and you don't understand, you'll keep asking, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that, right? If I say a sentence without meaning, you'll ask me, right? I don't understand. Can you tell me? So that is called syntax error. The grammar is wrong. The syntax is wrong. Okay. Syntax is the way you write a program, the rules that you have to follow. So we say that string should have quotation. String should have quotation, does not have quotation. So this is syntax error. So syntax errors are easiest. So if I tell you something that I eating, for example, let's say. Now, I eating is not a sentence, right? So you'll ask me, what do you mean by I eating? I don't understand I eating. So you will catch the mistake. Lekin, the logical error is when you get the logic itself wrong. Matlab, I'm trying to say that print will display on the screen. That's what I'm trying to say. But by mistake, I say print will not display, for example. Now, this is very clear, right? That print will not display. So you will assume that print will not display. So ये logic में error है. For example, I say, okay, what is the sum of 2 numbers? Sum of 3 and 2. And by mistake, okay, so this is syntax, this program will not run, right? So, you have to comment it out or you have to fix it. And it will also tells you which line. So you can easily go and fix at line number 6, there is a syntax error. Logical error is, I'm saying, sum of 2 and 3 is, okay, and then I say 2 into 3 by mistake. Now, how will Python know that, no, you meant to add 2 plus 2, right? It will not know. So it says 2 and 3 is 6. And if you're not careful, you will say, okay, 2 and 3 is 6, you'll continue, you'll go on. So this is called logical mistake. You made a mistake in the logic of writing a program, right? Where you have to say equal to, you wrote something else, not equal to, you wrote something. Instead of taking, let's say in the previous program, let's say instead of taking R2 of 0, you took R2 of 1. So, program will run, but you will not know what has gone wrong here, right? And when you don't know what has gone wrong, and let's say you have 100 lines of code, this is one line. So, you know that, oh, 2 plus 3 cannot be 6, it has to be 5, right? And then you go back and see why it is giving 6. So only one line. But if you, let's say, 100 lines, you have to go through 100 lines. So for remember when we were getting that error earlier, right? In that this one itself, we wrote those print statement. Okay, because we wanted to know where am I going wrong? Am I going wrong in line number 1 to 5 or 5 to 10 or 10 to 15? So you are putting those print statement to see this is what I expect here. Did I get it? Yes, I got here. That means still here my program is correct. Then again you put a print statement and see, am I getting here? No, I'm not getting what I expected. That means your error has crept in between the previous print and this print statement. So you don't know where the error has come. It takes time and effort. But your program output will be correct. I mean, it will run like a program. Okay, it will not have any problem. Okay, so this is a logical error. Very difficult to catch. Syntax error is very easy to catch because the program will not run only. So you have to fix it before you run it. But for exception handling, we talk about runtime errors. So these runtime errors, as the name suggests, they occur at runtime. They occur at execution time. So initially it will run fine, okay? But something will happen at the runtime, something will happen, okay, which will throw error. So for example, divided by 0 error. So let's say you give A equal to 5, B equal to 2 or 3, whatever, print division is, and you say A by B, okay? Now when you run it, okay, it will give you division 2.5. But let's say, okay, you're using from user and somehow this value became 0. Now 5 by 0 is not possible. So you get what is called a 0 division error. Now 0 division error, you won't know until you actually get the denoter value. Okay, now your program will, because whenever you get an error, your program will stop abruptly there. It will not move ahead. So you need to know how to fix these errors. This is what we say exception handling. Exception handling is, these are called exceptions. So runtime errors are also called as your exceptions. Sometimes the exception occurred. Exception occurred means runtime error has occurred. Okay, there's some value, something that has crept in, which is creating problem, which we don't expect and has creating problem. Okay, so exception handling is more like handling runtime error. Now, how do you catch? Because sometimes it will occur, sometimes it will not occur. Now you cannot avoid this problem to occur. Now, if somebody has entered B value 0, you cannot control. User has entered 0, you cannot control the value. But you can avoid performing division if 0 is there. Right? You can avoid performing division. So before the division is there, you can avoid it. So one way is you say if, right? You can say if B equal to 0, you say print can't move ahead or whatever, right? Else only you do that. So this is one way. Or the exception handling says that the line which you think can give error, okay? Now, let's say here I calculate C equal to, okay, or in fact, I'll do here, right? Okay, let's say C equal to A by B. So now this is the line which can throw exception. This is the line which can. Sometimes it will, sometimes it will not, right? In some cases only it will throw exception. So this line, you put it under what is called as try block. So here you have to predict beforehand. You have to predict beforehand if this is going to throw error or not. So if this is throwing error, okay, then you have to put this under try block. Okay, and then we have something called an except and the exception name. So you need to know the exception name. You need to know the exception name. Okay, you need to know the exception name. So here you say except zero division error, and then you can say print division or divide by zero is not allowed. Okay, divide by zero is not allowed. Okay, divide by zero is not allowed. Okay, so you have try, you have except, and you can have multiple exceptions. So you can have multiple except. So this also works like if else. So if you have except zero division error, except type error. So best way to know which error will occur, you have to purposely create that error. Right? You purposely create that error, and then you will get the name of zero division error. Copy and paste it here. I'll show you one more example later. So here you say except zero division error, and you can have except something else, except something else. And then you have two more things that we need to remember. Else is like, what if there is no error? If there is no error, I will say print value of C is C. Now this C will be calculated only if there is no error. That's why you have to put this in the else block. You have to put it in the else. So try, except, else, and then you have finally. So finally block will be called in both the cases, error or no error. Okay, print, I am in finally or something, let's say. And then you can continue writing your program. So in this case, if you run it, okay, zero, so they can't move ahead is coming from if else. The divide by zero is coming from your exception here. You see, C equal to A by B, we put it in try. So it threw exception, and since we have except here, it caught zero division error. And it says print divide by zero is not allowed. Else is not called. C is not printed. Finally is called. But if I go and make B as, let's say, 10 or something different, non-zero value. Now you see here, so this is coming from anyway from else part. Now here, C A by B has not thrown exception. It has not thrown exception, so it has not gone into except part. It has gone to else, and it says value of C is 5 by 10, which is 0.5. And then finally. So finally will be called in both the cases, exception or no exception. Else will be called only if there is no exception. Except is called when there is an exception. So now let's say, you entered A equal to quotation 5. What I'll do is let it be 5. We'll put it here, okay? After try and else, okay? So here I'm putting A equal to, small a, right? A equal to 6. And I'll put my own B equal to 4. Now here, okay, I'll put quotation here, let's say. Because generally when you read, right, you will read as int of input. Now when you try to create A equal to int of A, okay, so in this case, it is going to work, right? So this will work and, you get some value here. But let's say by mistake, you entered T or something. Now this is also going to throw exception. Line number 18 will also throw exception. That is value error. Now you can handle using same try block multiple exception. So one option is you put a try here and put except value error here, and you do that. Second option is you don't do it here, you do it in try. So whether this exception comes or this exception comes, try will catch it. And here you can say except value error. So you can have multiple exception here. And you can say here, numerator is not a valid number. Numerator is not a valid number. Else, C is A by B. Finally, okay. So now when you run it, numerator is not a valid error. So the first error is value error. So it caught the value error. Okay, and it went to value error. Okay, there's one command which we need to know here, something called as except exception. When you don't understand, okay, what error is there, you can put exception. Generally, this is the last block in exception. If whatever you have mentioned, zero division error, value error, if those things are not caught, then it goes to exception. You can say print some exception has occurred, not sure what. So any exception occurs, it will go to exception. And reason why I put it to the last is because it will check previous all these exceptions. If these are not valid, only then it will go here, right? So now if we give here a equal to 60, right? It says value error, right? Numerator is not valid number, numerator error. Now if I move this to the beginning, let's say, if I move this to the beginning, and now when you try to run, what happens? You see, some exception has occurred, not sure what. It is not able to catch value error because exception means any exception, it should go to exception. So in this case, value error is called, okay, that is also an exception. So this has caught it before it goes to zero or value error. That's why we should not give exception in the beginning. It should always be there at the end. What happened? Okay, now it knows, okay, value error I need to catch. So it got value error and you got this message. Now you can continue your program. So the problem area is avoided and then you continue. The program is not ended abruptly. It gives you proper message and then you continue. So this is the exception handling. Okay. I mean, if you can also use like if else, but using if else is little lengthier than doing exception. It's easier when you practice 2-3 times, right? It becomes easier than if else. Okay. So yes, so this is what we did today. Any questions?